Hey Kevin here, Mr. DIY Dork from DIYDork.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make an upcycled message center using some parts I found at the thrift store. I have a $10 picture frame, a $1 old pizza pan, and a $1 cork board that I'm going to put all together inside a reclaimed wood frame, which is made from some old trim we had left over from our house renovation. Put it all together to make this really cool little message center. So check this out. This is a really cool project. Alright, so here's what I'm working with. First of all, we have the DIY dry erase board that I just made in another video. If you haven't seen that yet, you should go check it out. It's really simple. It's basically made from a really cheap glass picture frame that I found at Salvation Army. These other two pieces here I also found that same day. We have an old cork board here that has definitely seen better times, but that's okay. We're just going to use part of it. We're going to change it up a little bit. And then also have this old pizza pan here, and this thing has some serious patina on it, but I think it's actually going to be really cool, especially for this project. So what I'm going to do is combine them all so that we have the dry erase board, we'll have a magnetic board, and we'll also have a cork board all in one sort of repurposed message center. And I think I'm going to go ahead and build a whole new frame to contain everything using reclaimed wood. So how about I get started and let's see how this thing turns out. Alright, now here's the reclaimed wood that we're going to use. These are actually 1x4s that we used for trim in our house, and I have a whole bunch of leftovers. As you can see, they're painted on one side and they're still kind of raw and rough on the other. I'll have to cut them up and sand them up and pull all the nails out. But the reason I have a bunch of these left is because we recently just installed these double doors in front of our house. And we used to have a single door that was like offset over here, and we shifted everything over to the center of the house. See the rooms there, and we had to basically rebuild a whole bunch of trim and then all the trim around the doors, so I had a bunch left over, and I thought it'd be perfect for this project. We just used 1x4s in the house just to keep the trim really simple. Now they got a bunch, it'd be perfect for this project. So now what I'm going to do is cut them up outside, and then we'll start putting it together. Right, and here's a drawing of what we will be building, and this will be the dry erase board right here, and then I'll have a smaller cork board and magnetic boards off to the side, and this will be all the boards that we have to cut, what we're going to be cutting this wood down into. And the only thing I should mention is that I measured my dry erase board, and then I added 1/8 of an inch, you know, up and down and sideways, so that way it has just enough wiggle room to slide into this frame, and then we can put stops in the back, and then I'm going to kind of put another little piece of framework on the front using reclaimed wood that will help, you know, close it up and keep the pieces from falling out. So anyway, I'm gonna go outside and chop them up. I have all my little pieces here I need to cut, and I'll get them cut up, and then I'll come back in here and start putting it together. Alright, now that I have everything cut and sanded, I roughed it into place just to get an idea of what's going to look like. Of course, we'll have the dry erase board that'll fit in here, and I have two 10-inch squares for the cork board and the magnetic board, and I had to put a little bit wider plate in between. I'm going to turn that into a place to hold markers. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw it all together, and this is just the basic frame. I have to also build kind of like little cover pieces for it, and then also some backer pieces to hold everything in there. But right now what I'm doing is using this little framing jig, and it's really made for like putting picture frames together, but it works great on small frames like this too. What I can do, take my drill bit, and I can pre-drill 2 holes there, and I got these 2-inch screws that I'll tighten it all down. They have the little star heads, and I know not everyone's into exposed screws, but I like to look, and we're going to paint this anyway, so you won't really see them too much. So how about I do that, and we get this together, and then I'll show you how to make the little cover plates for it. Alright, see what I did there? I pre-drilled with a small bit so that this would go through easily without splitting the wood. Then I went a little bigger in this first piece to not split it along the grain here. Then I took another piece that was as big as the head to kind of drill that out, and I smoothed it out with this little piece here to countersink it, and that way the wood doesn't split on me, and then that screw sinks in really nice. Now you don't have to do that. This wood was just starting to split on me on the other corners that I was doing, so I had to do that. Normally you could just usually pre-drill, screw it in there, no problem. But if you have an issue like that, like I showed you, you can just kind of gradually work up so that the head of the screw doesn't split the wood. Alright, so I got the frame all put together, just all screwed together nice and solid. And now I got to make the little caps for the front. So what I'm using is some more reclaimed wood, and these are leftover slats that I cut whenever I was recovering the old library table that I had in the video, and I'll link to that video if you want to check that out. Anyway, these are made of basically the same type of wood, just some old pine I had. I just trimmed them down. They're probably a little thinner than a 1/4 inch, and what I plan to do is use these on top. So we're going to line them up bottom to the bottom of the thing, and it'll have like about a 1/2 inch overlap. Alright, so it'll be like that, and then the one that'll go here will just be centered on that board, and then the front will look like that. Okay, see, we'll have multiples. It'll be something like that. So that's what the front of this whole thing will look like, and I'll have to make a wider one for right there. But anyway, like I said, it has about a 1/2 inch lip right there to hold everything underneath, and then I have these little pieces right here that we will then attach. Once like the glass is in, they'll go in here and they'll squeeze the glass up against the back side of this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these pieces down to length, and then I'm just going to nail them to the front of this, and then I can paint the whole thing however I want to do it, and then we can start assembling everything and then holding it together with the little brackets out back. So let me do that real quick. Right, and here's the frame I'll put together. I just wanted to show it to you real quick before it gets all painted up. But just glued and nailed everything, and it turned out really nice. In this little wide section between the two 10-inch squares there, I decided to go ahead and use a couple of leftovers to build a shelf for the markers. So that way I can use up the space and not just have this, you know, big wide area to look at. So now that's raw, I'm going to test fit everything, make sure the glass fits. I'll cut down the cork board and the metal to fit in here. Once I know everything fits really well, then I can paint it. So I'll move on to that next. Alright, I test fit the glass and it fit great. So then what I did was I drew some 10-inch squares on the old pizza pan and on the cork board. So I'm just going to cut them out, and we can start putting this thing together once I get the frame all painted up. I got both pieces cut and they fit really nice now, just enough wiggle room to fit in there. So now I'm going to take them out and then take the frame outside. I'm going to paint it and distress it a little bit, and then we can put this thing together. So now the frame is all painted and sanded, and I have the clear coat on there, a matte clear, just so that the paint doesn't flake off or anything when I'm using it. And now I got to just put everything together. So I dropped in the cork board and the piece of metal, and I'll have to put the glass in here in a minute. But I'm just using these little brackets that I made. They're about 1/2 inch thick. I drilled 2 holes in them for these little screws right here. And I'm using sheet metal screws because I found that they don't strip out as easily as like wood screws, and they work a lot better, I think. So anyway, they're just 1-inch screws. They'll go through this block of wood up against the frame, and it'll hold everything in place, but yet it'll all be removable if I ever need to change anything out. So now what I'm going to do is just kind of put them where I want them, and I need to pre-drill another hole through there into the frame so that when I screw these in, it won't split. Put it all together and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, it's all assembled. You ready for the big reveal? Voila! There we go. It turned out really cool. I especially like how the reclaimed wood turned out after I painted it and then sanded it off and cleared it over. Really incredible look with that wood grain popping through. And of course we have the DIY dry erase board here made from an old picture frame. I'll link to the video. It shows how I made that. That was really simple and definitely very low cost. Then we have the old thrift store cork board as well. I was going to paint it, but I think the old kind of speckled gray color actually looks really nice on here. And then we also have the gross pizza pan, which now just looks like really incredible patina on here. And of course, it works great with all the magnets. This is one of my little mini log magnets that I have a video. It shows you how to make those really simple. And as part of my little series here about the message center, it's kind of tying all the videos together. And then of course the shelf for the marker, for the dry erase markers, or whatever you want to put up there. So anyway, I think it turned out really cool, very simple. I tried to design it so that pretty much anyone can make it without any crazy special tools. And it turned out to be a really cool project. I really like how it turned out.